Okay, here we have my Pia's Revolution Walking Ballista Construct Winding Constrictor. This deck is Happy Happy Christmas Land. When you explain it to someone at Friday Night Magic, that's all that they say. Oh yeah, well if you get that, that, and that. But the thing about this deck is so many things work together that almost any combination of them becomes some type of soft combo that you can gain some type of advantage out of. The main cards in the deck, if I had to pick four cards that the deck was truly based around, it would be Mimic, calling constructs, in rare occasions calling snakes, and I almost never call Etherborn or Rogue. I have yet to call Beast, but it's almost always constructs. So I mean, we've got a lot of constructs. We've got Bomat Courier, which if you've ever played a deck that runs out of cards quickly, you know the power of Bomat Courier. Um, a early turn Bomat Courier against a control deck that has to follow up killing your other creatures and can't really waste anything on a Bomat Courier really starts digging for a kill spell on turn 4 or 5 when he's got a grip under it. So, um, so Metallic Mimic just for the constructs ability. My favorite spell or my favorite line of play, and it is normally really good, is a turn 2 Metallic Mimic, a Walking Ballista for free. This is just normally great. You get 3 power on the board spread across 2 creatures. Yes, it's 2 cards, but casting a free Metallic Mimic, and then if you can follow it up with the my second favorite card in the deck, the Pia's Revolution, you're looking at Walking Ballista pinging for 4 just for sacking it. They're not giving it back to you, especially if they realize that you can cast it for free. If they gave it back to you indefinitely, you would instantly kill them. So I guess with the ceiling being your opponent just always saying, I give it back to you. I'm not taking 3. Then turn 3, you could technically kill someone. Is that going to happen? No. Closest thing I've ever had to that happening is a guy told me that he was just going to take a d6, and if it was odds, he would take it. If it was evens, he wouldn't. And he held to that the entire game, and that dice killed him. Or sorry, that die killed him. So, Mimic with Pia's Revolution casting Walking Ballistas for free, but what happens when they choose the other mode? I mean, we want them to choose the, free 4 damage, but and if they give it back to us, then that's great. But if we need it back, then we have this guy, and he is a real monster in this deck. We're talking about sacking, well, any artifact and instantly getting back Walking Ballista. Um, any any artifact gets back Walking Ballista. Any implement gets back Walking Ballista. It's just so good, so good. So free Walking Ballistas. And you can chain down. You don't have to jump straight to a Walking Ballista. You can go for value, especially if you have a Pia's in your hand, because the chances of them giving you, or on the battlefield, the chances of them giving you your implement or something like that on your way down to the Walking Ballista, amazing. Um, they're going to want to take the 3 again from the Walking Ballista. They know it's coming, so you get away with a free implement of combustion, which is it's a clue. Um, When I first looked at this card, I was like, well, that's bad. And then someone said, you realize it's a red clue that deals 1 damage. And they are right. It is a red clue that deals 1 damage. That's not bad. Um, this one's good only because this is the Constrictor, Winding Constrictor version of the deck. Winding Constrictor actually replaced Chief of the Foundry. Artifact creatures, I think it's Chief of the Foundry. We'll find out. Replace Chief of the artifact creatures get +1/+1. Where's he at? He's a 3 mana. Yeah, Chief of the Foundry. I knew it wasn't crazy. He replaced Chief of the Foundry because you can't actually get a loop going with Walking Ballista if a chief is out. Syndicate Trafficker replaced current ATOG. What's his name? Ravenous Retruder. Only because we switched to Winding Constrictor. This ended up giving us more powerful early plays and than the Chief of the Foundry. However, Chief of the Foundry is really, really good, except for you no longer have certain agency on when you want to sack a Walking Ballista. You can remove all counters from Walking Ballista, and he is just a 1/1. And then they kill Chief of the Foundry and remove your Walking Ballista at their leisure. Stabbed me in the back more times than it was good. However, it was good. Big question to get asked about this deck is, why is there no Metalwork Colossus? Metalwork Colossus says non-creature artifacts. I know it's a Pia's Revolution deck, but the only non-creature artifacts we have are our implements, and we only have 6 of those. And the total converted mana cost, if we pulled all 6 of them, would only be 7 mana. So, not really going to happen here. So, Metalwork Colossus is kind of out on this deck. Some of the Gear Hulks have showed up in the past, but I just kind of moved away from them as we are a 22 land deck. We do draw a lot of cards, but we are a 22 land deck. Couple other cards that just have really significant key interactions, especially when you get your Pias out, is Foundry Inspector. Making everything cost 1 cheaper allows you to start machine gunning off Implements of Combustion. Again, much more powerful when we had Ravenous Intruder, because it was a just repeating combo. You didn't deal the 1 damage, but you could continue to draw through your deck. Extremely powerful. Still in the air on whether or not I would run that over this. As you can see, I do still have the other version of the deck put together. It is a Marionette Master version. Much similar to this one, only it runs the Ravenous Intruder and Reckless Fireweaver, so we're hitting them both in and out. This particular deck is a lot closer to a deck made by Dev from SBMTG. So shouts out to Dev. Great content, and I love his decks, and we'll be running some of his decks here in the future. Okay, on to the sideboard. We've got we've got some Fatal Push. We don't have removal in the main deck, but we do have some Fatal Push. We do have Implement of Malice, which is a hand discard in the main deck. We don't have any agency in it or control. So Fatal Push, really good to bring in out of the sideboard. Unlicensed Disintegration, just amazing. What more can I say? If we don't have an artifact, then Unlicensed is probably not going to save us. Manglehorn, surprisingly, Amazing in this deck just to kill your own guys sometime. Um, I kind of like Release the Gremlins better, but Manglehorn against certain decks makes all of their artifacts enter tap. Really, really handy. Some other cards in the deck. This one's amazing. Just love this card. Against control, you just get to play right into those counter spells. Who cares? You get the counter spells out. What sticks. What doesn't. They're going to try to look for those key combo pieces after they see them in game one, and they're going to try to pick out your Metallic Mimic, your Walking Ballista, those type cards. You stick a Pia's, fill in whatever combos piece that you've missed with a claim. It's great. I have won some just off of having the Fame in the graveyard. Just +2. Let's go, and swing that way to get in the extra damage. Chip damage is always great. So good card. Great card against control. We don't want to actually get into a control fight with them. We want to make them prove that they can't really control. So we just want to try to keep up as much pressure as possible. Also against control and a lot of other formats or other archetypes, I guess. Crook of Condemnation. This card works really, really well. Does hurt us when we use the second ability to exile all cards. However, it's just a really good card to just kind of pick and choose what they're trying to target from their graveyard. So they have to target from the new blue-white deck that is floating around. They have to target with God Pharaoh's Gift. They have to target what they want to bring back. In response, you can exile that card from the graveyard. So this is a direct counter to God Pharaoh's Gift. Great card. If they destroy it, it's an artifact. They're going to kill our Scrap Trawler later. We'll just pull it back when he dies. Same thing can be said for Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. We're not real big on energy. Don't really care about energy. The only way we have to really spend it is through the Aether Hub. This is a cycling 3 life. Yes, Implement of Ferocity is great as well. This could easily be Implement of Ferocity, or not Ferocity. Oh man, what is the other implement? What is the other implement? Improvement. The white implement, Implement of Improvement. It could easily be Implement of Improvement. However, they can say they'll take 3 to this. You only gain 2 life. This is 6 life. It would be the equivalent of sacking that implement twice. Yes, it costs more mana. It's worth it. Implement just wasn't enough life gain in those aggro decks that I actually needed life gain against. So most of the time you're aggro, but if you get against a good fast deck, you're going to have to just build a wall, use them to kill your creatures for value. So just sit back, block, pray they don't have trample. If they do, try to fill it in with Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. That's about it, guys. If you want to check this deck out, I will be posting this deck tech in just a few minutes. If you want to check it out, just hit me up tonight. I'm going to be streaming at 10 Pacific time, so we're going to run this deck a little bit and see how we like it. Syndicate Trafficker definitely may go back to being Ravenous Intruder. It just really might. However, in testing before Hour of Devastation was big, this was better, only by mere margin just for the indestructible. Right now we're more interested in being able to outgrow 5 damage than trying to have indestructible because, well, we all know what that card does. Alright guys, talk to you later.